ahead on 12 News Weekend. Got a penny?
I just saved every penny I got for 20 years.
What one Brooklyn Park man does with his spare change. Plus, no longer an urban issue.
What research has shown is that poverty is growing at the largest rates in the suburbs.
But first, a sleep study eye-opener. What it reveals about our kids' sleep needs and how it could impact school start times. 12 News Weekend starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us on 12 News Weekend. I'm Delane Cleveland.
And I'm Shannon Slatton. Studies have repeatedly shown that teens need at least 8 hours of sleep every night. Unfortunately, we know that doesn't happen very often. But a new University of Minnesota study found that one way to help kids get more sleep is to delay school start times. The study found tremendous benefits for kids when schools start at 8:30 a.m. or later. Currently, Wayzata and Cooper have the earliest start times at 7:20. Hopkins has the latest start time at 7:47. As Cassie Bonstrom reports, the new study may get districts to think twice about those times.
Researchers have long suspected that school start times have an impact on students' academics and overall health. Now they have the data to back it up.
We have proof. We have conclusive proof.
Dr. Kyla Wallstrom at the University of Minnesota spearheaded the 3-year study. She and other researchers gathered data from 9,000 students at 8 high schools in 3 states. The results? First of all, students' sleep improves significantly.
This whole thing circles around human biology.
When school started at 8:30, 66% of students said they got 8 or more hours of sleep. When school started at 7:30, only 34% of students got that much sleep. And the research shows more sleep leads to better decision making.
The 8 hours seems to be the point at which kids are making healthier choices.
The study also found that students at schools that started at 8:30 or later had improved attendance and test scores. Their tardiness and need for caffeinated drinks decreased. The teens also reported fewer symptoms of depression.
They're ready for learning.
Perhaps the most surprising finding of all, however, was related to teen driving.
Over the course of this past year, where they've had the late start, their car crash rates reduced by 70%, which is remarkable. 70% is an incredible amount of reduction.
It's eye-opening data, but Dr. Wallstrom says it's now up to the districts to decide what to do with it.
My hope is that now that the information is out, school districts can have an informed discussion about what the research is showing and how this can have an impact on kids.
Cassie Bonstrom with that report. The Wayzata School District says it's aware of the data and will consider changes to the high school schedule.
In New Hope, work is underway to tear down a former school to make way for a new housing development. Crews are demolishing the Winnetka Learning Center. The 16-acre site will be fresh ground for more than 60 new single-family homes and townhomes. It's a big deal for a fully developed suburb where such projects are rare.
As a city, we haven't had a big development here of this magnitude, single-family homes for over 30 years. So this is a good redevelopment site. It's right in the heart of the city.
Construction on the new housing development is expected to begin sometime this summer.
Supporters of a youth homeless shelter in Brooklyn Park are celebrating a significant step.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Brooklyn Park's Economic Development Authority approved up to $800,000 for the project. The facility would provide shelter for as many as 10 youth.
It's like we've got to invest in our kids. We've got to make a change. We're at a crossroads right now, and if we don't step forward, we're going to fall off the cliff, and I agree with that.
It remains uncertain where the new shelter will get built. The city is also looking into whether building new or renovating an existing facility, if that's the better option. Homelessness and hunger go hand in hand, and while the economy has turned around for some, many Minnesotans are still struggling to put food on the table.
Many of those people live in the West Metro. Here's Sonia Goins.
Just double what you have there, and then I'll put it in my basket.
Okay.
Rosina Botch and her neighbor live in Golden Valley.
Some dry pasta here.
They both fell on hard times and now use the PRISM food shelf to get by.
I lost my job, and so I need to come here and, have a few extra things to help me survive for the rest of the month.
Rosina's neighbor didn't want to be identified, but says she's on disability.
There just isn't enough money to reach the end of the month.
both have to be careful what they put on their shopping list
I got peanut butter,
because it has to last for a whole month.
strawberry jelly,
They have to be creative
soup like this. I can make 2 meals out of.
and make the most of what they have.
So I'll eat half the thing and then I'll put it in the microwave for supper.
There are times when they are anxious, wondering if they'll even make it to the end of the month.
Ramen noodles would be something that I'd probably just have to.
And I've done that. Oh yeah, that's what you look forward to.
Now, Rosina and her friend's case are pretty common, but you might be surprised to find that the typical person that uses his food shelf actually has a job. They just need to stretch their dollars.
Food insecurity is something that many families and tens of millions of children are struggling with.
The problem is getting bigger in the suburbs. A study ranked the Twin Cities metro area as 9th in the nation in terms of growth of suburban poverty.
We'll allow people to come to the food shelf even twice a month. Most food shelves, it's once a month, and we increase that, recognizing the needs of the families we're serving.
Very.
Very, yes.
Rosina and her friends say they are grateful for the assistance they get at PRISM.
Without it, it'd be really anxiety, how we're gonna,
If I didn't have the food shelf, then I would be 2 weeks short.
In Golden Valley, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
Well, March is Minnesota Food Share Month, and PRISM has set a goal of raising $120,000.
In our weekend review, charges are pending against a man accused of fleeing Brooklyn Center police and crashing into a house. Police gave chase early Friday morning after learning the suspect had stolen an SUV from the Super America gas station on Brooklyn Boulevard. The suspect later crashed into a home at 47th and Osseo Road in Minneapolis. Surprisingly, no one was hurt. The door isn't shut yet on a bill to legalize medical marijuana, though. Golden Valley resident Beth Hunley was among those who joined a rally outside the governor's mansion on Thursday. She says medical marijuana would help her 2-year-old daughter who suffers from a rare form of epilepsy. After meeting privately with supporters of the bill, Governor Dayton directed his staff to work toward a compromise with the law enforcement community. And a scientist and businesswoman from Plymouth will run against Republican incumbent Erik Paulsen in Minnesota's 3rd congressional district. Sharon's son, a Democrat, also ran in 2012 but did not receive the DFL party endorsement. Coming up on 12 News Weekend, we'll take you to the head of the classroom.
You'll meet 2 teachers who are candidates for Minnesota Teacher of the Year. Then later in sports, a spectacular shot puts Hopkins into the state title game in boys basketball.
But first, winter isn't over yet, unfortunately. There's a chance for a snow-rain mix on Tuesday. Two Maple Grove Junior High School teachers are up for the same prestigious award.
Both educators are semifinalists for Minnesota Teacher of the Year. Reporter Sonia Goins shows us why they are both top teachers.
Today we have a writing assignment.
Charles Nelson has been a history teacher for 15 years.
I want you to answer both these questions.
He might make some history of his own by becoming the first teacher in the Osseo School District to be named Minnesota Teacher of the Year.
I'm just very grateful to work with such an incredible group of students. They're the ones that really bring out the very best in me.
There are no textbooks in his classrooms, just journals. He uses a business model to get students to relate to American history.
You can take their ideas and you can use systems diagrams to say, this is how this works, this is a fix that failed. And you can apply that then to American history, and you can make that connection with what has happened in the past to today.
I've been in this building since 1990.
Science teacher Mike Indris is up for the same award.
It's neat in the sense that somebody looked at what I've been doing for 28 years and recommended me.
Mr. Indris has taught in the district for almost 30 years. One of his former students nominated him.
I had him in class in 8th grade, and now he wants to become a science teacher, so kind of proud.
Indris says his goal is to get students to reach for the stars and never stop learning.
So the biggest thing is astronomy. It's a big unit, it's a great unit, and it's something they're going to see the rest of their lives.
Both teachers say this is not a competition, and they are thrilled to be nominated.
To have 2 people out of the same building is not competition. It means hopefully we're doing something right in Maple Grove Junior High.
In Maple Grove, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
In late March, a panel will narrow the list down to 10 semifinalists. The Minnesota Teacher of the Year will be named on May 4th. Well, what do you do with your spare change? A Brooklyn Parkman's project may surprise you.
And then Maranatha boys basketball team battles in the state tournament. That's coming up in sports with Jay Wilcox.
Welcome back. Jay Wilcox joins us now at sports. So what can we call this? The shot heard around the world?
At least around Minnesota, for sure, definitely. And just a very interesting game, too, that everybody wondering, will it lead to a shot clock coming into high school basketball, too? It's not the first time the Hopkins boys basketball team has had a miraculous shot in the state tournament. The Royals had a memorable semifinal win in the Class 4A tourney. Hopkins facing Shakopee in that semifinal round. It's a quick start for Hopkins as they get out on the break, and Jake Wright gets the layup, and it's 7-0 Royals early. Shakopee, though, comes back. Booker Copeland will hit a 3 to tie the game at 12, and it turns out to be a back-and-forth game all night long. To the second half now, and Wright buries a three-pointer. He scores 18 of his team's first 29 points, and the Royals are up by 5. But the Sabres get good inside play from their center, Tyler Weiss, who leads Shakopee in this one with 19. Final seconds of regulation. Amir Coffey curls into the lane, and his floater to win is off the rim, and this one goes to overtime. And in OT, it's the waiting game. Much of the multiple overtime spent with Kamali Chambers holding the ball near midcourt as Hopkins tries to draw Shakopee out of its own defense, and that doesn't happen. So we fast forward to the final 2 seconds of the fourth overtime, and you probably all know about this one already, but here it is again. Coffey's 55-footer beats the buzzer for a miracle 49-46 victory for the Royals. To get to that game, Shakopee had to get through the other local entrant in the 4A tournament. Osseo faced Shakopee in that quarterfinal round, and Shakopee gets off to a good start. Evan Hagen goes through the defense to score. He has 10 in the first half of this one. Ian Tyson delivers a nice up and under for 2 of his 10 in the first half, but the Orioles are down by 6, 31-25 at halftime. After trailing much of the way, they take the lead on a three-pointer out of the corner from Elliott Kane. It's 43-41 Osseo. Wheeler Baker has a tough shooting day, but he gets into the lane to score here. Osseo's back in front, 47-46. Sabres sophomore Stefan Mitchell has a big game. His turnaround jumper puts Shakopee back up 48-47. Down to the final seconds, Osseo down 1, and Baker shoots for the lead, but it's short, and Shakopee knocks Osseo out 54-51. Maranatha Christian Academy of Brooklyn Park was back in the Class A tournament. The Mustangs faced Red Lake in the quarterfinal round. Maranatha is hot early. Jeremiah Hansen catches it at the high post and goes right up the middle to score. And Jake Mayan has a huge first half for Maranatha as well. This 3 part of a 15-point half for him. It's already 11-3 Mustangs. Hansen lights it up. The baseline drive makes it 28-10. Hansen with 16 in the half, 31 on the night, and it's 45-28 at the half. Red Lake puts some full court pressure on it and leads to points. James Jourdain scores as they battle back to within 12, but they just can't stop Maranatha in this one. Josh Goldschmidt nails a jumper from the corner for 3 points. Mario Armstrong sets up Cameron Munson for 2 as Maranatha rolls to a 95-67 win. However, they lost to Rushford Peterson by 2 in the semis. Both Hopkins and Osseo have landed a player on the Star Tribune's All-Metro first team. Osseo's Wheeler Baker averaged 22.9 points and 2.3 assists coming into the state tournament and shouldered more of the scoring load when Ian Tyson was injured. He signed to play Division I ball for Albany in New York. Hopkins sophomore Amir Coffey will be one of the state's top recruits in the class of 2016. The 6'6 lefty averaged 15 points while shooting 54% from the floor. Of course, his father Richard, the former Gophers forward, and his 2 sisters are playing D1 basketball. It's state tournament weekend for Minnesota youth hockey. An Armstrong Cooper team got a good send-off for their trip. Friends and families gathered at New Hope Arena to celebrate the Armstrong Cooper Pee Wee A's team's trip to state. It's believed to be the first state appearance in close to 30 years for their association. Their fans signed a banner wishing the team well that they brought to the state tournament in Crookston.
It's a great experience because our team has worked so hard during the season, and it's finally paid off, and we got to go to state.
Like I said before, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, especially for this association, which doesn't normally get the opportunity to go. For these kids to get the chance, it's great. You know, we're not the Edinas and Maple Groves that are the powerhouses. We're a small-based community, small team numbers, and kids that just love to play the game.
Armstrong Cooper entered the tournament with 35 wins, and that state tournament continues through Sunday afternoon. So we'll kind of keep an eye on some of those names for the future years for high school hockey.
All right, good luck for them. All right, thanks, Jay.
You bet.
A Brooklyn Park man has a hobby that will wind up weighing more than half a ton.
A penny for his thoughts coming up next.
Well, finally, some call him brilliant, others call him crazy.
John Ebert of Brooklyn Park says he's a little of both as he puts together an art project that requires patience and sense.
For 20 years, I never handed the cashier a penny.
John Ebert knows a thing or two about saving money.
I would hand them bills and they give me coins back.
So if a penny saved is a penny earned,
And I just saved every penny I got for 20 years. And this is where you end up.
John Ebert earns his way as a part-time penny pincher.
And I had been just holding on to pennies, thinking I'll find something cool or interesting to do with them someday.
In John's Brooklyn Park home, on a table he built himself and under a camera he hung from above,
It's really going to take a long time.
John does his meticulous work 1 cent at a time.
It does take a lot of patience, perseverance, and then determination, which is the name I chose for the piece of art when it's done.
First, he sorted pennies by color.
I dumped out maybe 100 or 150 at a time and split them into shiny ones and dark ones and ones in between.
When he gets 4 distinct groups,
You can make a map of the U.S. with 4 colors.
he'll make a map of the U.S., starting with Florida,
I'm just working very hard this time to get it as distinct as I can.
and going north from there.
Tennessee is the hardest one to get the color right because it touches 9 other states.
Each penny or dot is stacked 6 high with heads up.
I get 30 pennies for West Virginia and about 10 or 11 for Maryland. And just that's it, it's 30 dots. And to try to arrange that and make it actually look like the state is really hard to do.
The pennies are held in place with acrylic discs
I'm not done with these discs yet. There's over 4,000 of them.
in a project that will take weeks to finish.
I've got no timetable, I got no pressure. I can take all the time I want and pick how to do it in a way that just is as good as I can do it and make it look as good as I can.
Right now, he has no idea what will happen to his artwork when he's finished, but he does know he'll need help moving it. The finished piece will weigh about 550 pounds, and it's going to be as thick as a wall. So think about like that in a museum. You could walk around it, see both sides.
I can't wait to see it. I really hope you go back to do a final project story on it.
I hope we can. Can't you just see that like in a Ripley's Believe It or Not or a museum like that one day?
Cool idea. I don't know. I would have never come up with something like that.
Very meticulous. That's all the time we have for now. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yeah, have a nice weekend. We'll see you on Monday at 4.